Okay, so today we're going to start writing proofs. And so you have to know all the properties. So make sure that you get all your notes in your notebook written down. So I've got all the pictures of what the notes are supposed to say on in the Google Classroom. So make sure you get all your notes written down. So first I want to talk about all these different properties right here. So first of all is the addition property. You probably already know this because if you have an equation, 3x minus 4 equals 8, if you were going to solve that, you would plus 4 on each side. That's the addition property when you're just adding a number to each side. Subtraction property is when you subtract on each side. So if I had like x plus 7 equals 10, to solve that, I would minus 7 on both sides. That is called the subtraction property when you subtract on both sides. Multiplication property, if I had x over 3 equals 10, to solve that, I would multiply both sides by 3. That is called the multiplication property. Division property, if I had 10x equals 20, to solve that, I would divide by 10 on both sides. That would be the division property. So you pretty much know addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Distributive property, I don't know if you remember that from algebra, but if I had like 3 and then x plus 2 in parentheses, when I take the 3 times the x and get 3x, and 3 times the 2 and get 6, that would be the distributive property. Substitution property is when you replace something with something else. So like if you know x equals 2 and I have 2x here, when I replace the x with the 2 right here and put 2 times 2, that would be the substitution property. And then there's a few brand new properties. So let's talk about reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. Reflexive property, I just think reflection in the mirror, the exact same. If A equals A, something equals itself, that's reflexive property. Symmetric property has two things. If A equals B, then B equals A. So it just takes those things and flips it kind of like the converse. So that is symmetric property. Transitive property is where you can take out what's repeated. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. I can take out the B's because they're repeated. So that's the transitive property. So on your assignment, the first ones, you're going to name the property. So like look at number 1. If A equals B, then B equals A. So that's the two things, and it's kind of like the converse. If A equals B, B equals A. That is the symmetric property. If you just want to put SYMM to abbreviate it, I'm fine with that. What about the next one? XY equals XY. It's the same thing. It equals itself. It's the exact same thing. So that's like the reflection in the mirror. That is reflexive property. On the next one, you just ask yourself, what do I do to get from the if part to the then part? If x plus 3 equals 17, what did I do to get x equals 14? How did I do that? Well, I subtracted 3 on both sides, so that would be subtraction. So what about the next one? If 7x equals 42, what would I do to get x equals 7? How did I get that? Well, I divided by 7, so that's division. On number 5, if I have 2 outside parentheses, x plus 4, how did I get 2x plus 8? Well, I did the 2 times the x and the 2 times the 4, and that is called distributive property. This one might be kind of tricky. If x equals y plus 3 and y plus 3 equals 10, then x equals 10. Well, Well, if y plus 3 is 10, I could replace the y plus 3 with the 10. When you replace something with something else, it's substitution. Number 7 is the one where we take out what's repeated. If AB equals CD and CD equals MN, I can take out what's repeated and say AB equals MN. That is the transitive property. And then if x minus 2 equals 10 and I get x equals 12, how did I get that? What did I do? Well, I added 2 to both sides, so that would be addition. So this is going to lead us to writing proofs. So we're going to start with just algebraic proofs. So on all of these next problems, the first reason is going to be given every time. So they give us an equation, so that's going to be given. So on all of your very first reasons on all of them, you're going to put given. So your first reason will be given today. Then you're going to ask yourself, how did I get from this step to this step? What did I do? So if we look from step A to step B, what did we do to get from that step to the next step? Well, I did 2 times x and 2 times 6. That is called the distributive property. So that's what we will put. And then we ask ourselves, what did we do to get from B to C? What changed? How did that minus 6 go away and the 8 turn to a 14? What did we do? Well, we added 6 to both sides, so that's the addition property. And then what do we do to get from step C to step D? How did the 14 change to a 7 and how did the 2 disappear? Well, we divided by 2, so that would be division property. So that is how you're going to do these. You're always going to ask yourself, how did I get from this step to this step? Your first reason that will be given, so make sure you put given on your first reason. Let's go ahead and do number 10 just because there's fraction in there. So on number 10, my first one's given. On the next one, how do I get from step A to step B? How did the 3x change to 5/2 x? What? I still have my minus 4 and my 6, but notice the 1/2 x disappeared. So I subtracted it on both sides. So that would be subtraction property. So if you did 3 minus 1/2, that's how you get 5/2. Sorry. Then how do we get from step B to step C? What changed? Goodness. Notice my minus 4 went away and my 6 changed to a 10. How did we do that? Well, we added 4 to both sides, so that would be addition property. And then how would we get from C to D? So this one, you actually have options. You can think that you're dividing both sides by 5/2, or how they taught you in algebra, maybe they said multiply by the reciprocal. So I would accept division or multiplication on that. I'm going to put division. Division property. So we divided both sides by 5/2. Okay, hopefully that helps. Let's see. Okay, so you will be doing that on all of those. Remember, your first reason is always given. Your first reason is given. Then you ask yourself, how do I get from step A to step B? And so on. On this, we have to actually do the property that they tell us. So symmetric property is the one that's like the converse, the flip. So if AB equals YU, then YU would equal AB. 12, the reflexive property, that's the one where it equals itself. It's identical. So angle PQR would equal angle PQR. The exact same thing, identical. Distributive property, you have to actually take 3 times x, which would be 3x, and 3 times -1, which would be -3. transitive property is the one where you take out what's repeated. So if AB equals XZ and XZ equals WY, I can take out the XZ's and just say AB equals WY. Division property, I have to actually divide both sides by 3. So then X would equal 3 because 3 goes into 9 3 times. Substitution property means I have to replace something with something else. So it says if LM equals 7, so could I just replace LM with 7? And I could put EF plus 7 equals NP. And then like I said for the proofs, your first reason, what's your first reason? Given. So make sure you put given on that first reason. And then you ask yourself, how do I get from there to there? How do I get from there to there? On number 19, I don't have a statement, but I already have the reason as given. You just copy that statement right here. So 2x plus 4x plus 108 equals 180. That's given. By the way, this is something I should have said earlier. On number 19, when you just combine 2x and 4x together and make 6x, that is not addition property. You are just combining like terms. Addition property is when you add on both sides of the equals. So for that one, you'll just put combine like terms. So if you're just combining like terms, it is not addition. It's just combine like terms. And then you would say, how do I get from here to here? Well, I would subtract 108 on both sides, so that's subtraction. And then how do I get from 6x equals 72 to x equals 12? Well, I would divide, so division property. Okay, so on the combining like terms, it's just combine like terms. Okay, so then that last section, you just ask yourself, how did I get from the if part to the then part? How did we get from 6x minus 7 equals 29 to 6x equals 36? Well, we would add 7 to both sides, so that would be addition property. So hopefully that helped. Let me know if you have questions.